what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Twisted Life TV. I am Poetry. I've been meaning to give y'all another video in regards to my moving situation, and I forgot. And the other video that I was gonna put up, I accidentally deleted. So here I am with just like a little follow-up video on the move situation. I said I was gonna give y'all some things that I did, so I guess they would be considered tips, or because I know a few of you out there were in the same situation as me as far as like trying to find a house to stay in or even rent, because nowadays a lot of people are using like real estate agents to rent apartments, or if you're trying to buy an apartment, things like that. So yeah, I was gonna start off with my realtor experience and finding one, but I think I probably need to start off first with the financing portion of it, to get you ready to buy a house. Because one of the things that I was doing, which seemingly was ass backwards, was I was looking for houses and I didn't have the property. Which way am I going? I'm going this way today. I didn't have the financing locked in yet. So if you missed the previous videos, you missed my explanation, or you weren't here when I actually moved from St. Louis to Florida, you wouldn't know that I actually had my property foreclosed on. I bought my house originally in 2005. Yeah, 2005 in St. Louis, and I foreclosed on the property in 2018. The reason why I foreclosed on it, you need to go back and watch the other video. I'll probably link it somewhere here. Okay. And from there, you know, when you think you have a foreclosure, you think that you are just shit out of luck as far as buying a property. Well, I did my research. And I learned that that was not true. I'm also a veteran, so a lot of y'all may be veterans, may have the same situation, but even without being a veteran, this situation would still apply. But I was also a veteran, and I was using a VA loan on the first house. And when I foreclosed on that property, I thought that I was going to have to pay back the loan itself like 100%. And I didn't. So, like I said, I explained the whole process of me going through foreclosure in another video. You can watch that at another time. But I need to be paying attention to where I'm going, because I'm taking a different route to work than I normally do. So, I think this still should be 30 minutes though, so I should still get 30 minutes of video here. So, I learned that after you foreclose on a property, if 3 years later, 3 years from that date of the foreclosure, whether you paid off the foreclosure or you had to pay to it, and this is without filing bankruptcy, you are considered a first-time home buyer all over again. Exactly 3 years from the date that you foreclosed, you're considered a first-time home buyer all over again. My property foreclosed in July of 2018. They sold it to an investor. Then the investor sold it to somebody else. I actually still stayed in the house after the house was foreclosed on for like another month and a half. And then they resold it again in November of that year. The November date is what is actually on the records as far as when the property was sold. But it really didn't have nothing to do with me at this particular time. As far as my VA loan was concerned, VA gives you a certain eligibility amount, up to $200,000 as far as what they will insure. So my home that I originally purchased, like I said, I had been there for 13 years. Okay. So I was already starting to pay on some of the principal and things like that, even though with all these different loan changes, we're going to talk about that hopefully, all these different loan changes, it made the amount that I owe seem higher than what I originally started out with. So, that help? That didn't help. My visor won't stay up. helped a little bit. Okay, so they gave me a discounted amount on what I can now qualify for. That's how it affected my $200,000 VA loan. I'm no longer qualified to be covered up to $200,000. Now I'm only qualified to be covered up to $144,000. But it doesn't not affect the VA still insuring the loan. Okay, it just, I'm not going to be insurable up for the full $200,000. So with that, it gave me limits on how much a house I can afford to buy. So they told me that I could not buy a house that was less than $144,000, and I could not buy a house that was more than $415,000 and some change. So that was my range that I could look into. With the VA loan, once you foreclose on a property, you have 2 years before you can apply again. So my foreclosure, I had 3 years before I can go look for a house again as a first-time home buyer. With the VA loan, it was 2 years from that date that I could actually use the VA loan again. So I started looking around my 2-year mark. Okay, one of the things that you want to do is make sure you get a credit check. Get the credit check done by a lender. Don't go off of Experian and TransUnion and Equifax. Although these are the companies they are using to base your credit score on, they're not going to give you your mortgage lending credit score, which is totally different than just your average credit score. Your mortgage lending credit score is basically, they're taking the highest number of your credit from all 3 agencies, and then they're going to choose the lowest one as your actual credit score. I had one company told me that they used the middle score, but on average, they're not averaging them out, which this is what I thought they was going to do. They was going to add them up and average them out. No, they took my lowest score. So when I first started looking for a house, my credit score was 511. And a lot of people will tell you that with a credit score of 511 that you will not qualify for a loan. That is bullshit. Now there are companies like who did I deal with? I dealt with Veterans United. They wanted you to have at least a 620. Who else I deal with? I went through a lot of different companies as far as like trying to find a loan. And they wanted me to have like a minimum of 620, or Rocket Mortgage wanted me to have 580. Who else? Every lending institution is different. So when you hear that you can't get a credit loan based off of your credit score because your credit score is 500 or your credit score is like lower than that, look for companies that will. There are thousands of companies out there that will finance you for having a credit score of 500. Flat out, 500, they will finance you. Now your interest rate may be higher, but if your goal is to actually get into a house, you can get those higher interest rate loans, refinance in 1 year. Basically, make all your payments on time, your utility payments. Don't open up no new credit for that first year. Don't buy no new cars and no shit like that. And then refinance in a year. And you can lower your interest rate. So, but yeah, there's thousands of companies out there. Just research them online. But allow one of those companies to do a credit check for you. Find anyone, just one, it doesn't matter. Allow them to do the credit check for you, and then request the copy of the credit report that they used. With that copy, you'll be able to see all the different charges and assessments that's against you. I learned that if there's any type of charges on your account that are 7 years or older, they don't count those at all. They don't look into those at all. So I had a charge on my account from AT&T. I think I told y'all about this before. This account wasn't even mine, and some of the lenders that I was dealing with was telling me to pay this off. I wasn't finna pay this shit off because I knew it wasn't mine. However, because the account came from 2015, November of 2015, my 7-year mark will hit in November of 2022. So in 2022, even though it still shows on my credit report as a debt, they cannot legally use that in helping determine whether or not you qualify for a loan. So if you have things on your account that are like that are about to hit that 7-year mark, don't worry about trying to pay that shit off at this particular time. You can worry about paying it off later if you really want to pay the debt off to help you like refinance, get a better interest rate later, or just to raise your credit score. But as far as getting the loan in that moment, if it's hitting 7 years, don't even fucking worry about it. Don't even try to pay it off at this particular time. Other things that I had to pay off, once you pay it off, I want to say I had a cable bill with Charter. It was like $15, y'all. But because that $15 went into collections, they want you to pay that off. Anything that's in collections, you have to take care of. But taking care of does not mean paying it off. Taking care of means you may contact that company, set up a payment arrangement, set up a hardship something with them, any type of deal that you can set up with these companies. Like I say, most times it's a payment arrangement, sometimes it's a full payoff, sometimes you can set like I say a financial hardship where you don't have to pay it at all to remove the collection off your account. You can still show a balance due, but what you don't want to have is the word collections behind it. So work out something with those companies. Say you're gonna set up, I want to pay y'all $15 a month, something like that, anything. Once they agree to it, make sure you get it in writing. Have them submit you an email. Some companies will do it, some companies won't. Or actually send you a letter saying that your account was removed from collections. It needs to say those specific words. It was removed from collections. A lot of times, the companies themselves may have a cycle or a period that they are going to update their accounts. It may be every week. It may be once a month. It may be once a quarter. So even though the loan lender is looking at it, it's still showing collections. You got a letter of proof to say that they have already removed it. They just haven't updated your records yet, and they have to take that into account. I had to do that. Oh, this is my turn. This is my turn. This is my turn. This was a smoother ride than the other way that I go. I wonder how it is doing like when school is in session. Okay. Yeah, so do that. Make sure you get anything that has the word collection behind your name off your credit report. If you have revolving credit accounts are like your credit cards. Or if you open up an account with PayPal, a credit account, not your PayPal balance, PayPal credit. Or if you, who else? Any store accounts, like, Fingerhut. Anything that establishes you a credit limit, including loans, actual loans. With the exception of auto loans. But anything else like that. The best thing to do to help your credit score, if you're trying to increase it. I did not mean to turn down Kirkman Road. It's not what I meant to do. I meant to stay in that lane over there. But if this ambulance brings his ass on through, so I can make the light. I still know how to get to work from this way. But this ain't the way I meant to go. Okay. What was I saying? the loan amounts, the revolving credit amounts. You need to in order to boost your credit score, you need to get your balances down to 40% of your credit limit. So let's say, for example, I'm going to use a round number of $1,000. If PayPal Credit has given you a credit limit of $1,000, then you should not have more than $400, which is 40% of $1,000. You should not have more than $400 of debt owed to them on that account. And that's the way. So like, they look at your debt to income ratio. My debt to income ratio was so, I don't know, non-existent almost, because the only debt I really had was my student loans. My income is more than, it kind of balanced out. But the fact that I had these revolving credit accounts that were open and active, don't close the accounts. That's another thing. Don't close them. Like, they tell you to pay off the account and close it. No. If you're going to pay it off to zero, leave that mug open. Do not close it, because that increases your debt to income ratio. But you want to, like, say, like I was saying, for my example, 40% is how much debt that you want to carry of the credit limit that is available. Anything less helps, but it don't help much. Like, I had initially, my credit limit with PayPal was, I think, $1,800 at the thing. No, it was $1,200, and I owed like $1,000. So I brought it down to the $400, but I have my PayPal set up to automatically pay $75 every month, regardless of what's going on, and it ended up paying it off. It only increased my score by 1 point by paying it off. So yeah, don't close it at all. Paying it off to zero is not gonna really help you that much. But you're gonna get like a point or two. I'm gonna tell you, that's it. You're gonna get like a point or two. If you can't bring your balance down to the 400 or the 40% or less, ask them to see if they can give you an increase. Because if the credit companies can do an increase for you on your credit limit, depending on how long you've been with them, then that will give you a different range. So like, say if they increased me to $2,000, well, in my case, that's what they did. PayPal increased me to $2,000. So that means now I got $800 of debt that I can carry, where it won't be a financial burden. So instead of me, I started with $1,200, right? Had $1,000 of debt. They increased me to $2,000. My example, if I had $1,000 of debt, I need to bring my debt down to at least $400 in order to qualify. When I increased it to $2,000, now I don't have to bring my debt down to like $800. So I'm saving like $400 of cash that I got to put out in order to meet the income guidelines for the loan. So like I say, do that with one company. I recommend shopping around for your lenders in the same week. If you have several companies pulling your credit report in the spaced out intervals, it's going to negatively affect your credit score. It could drop your credit score down by 5 to 7 points each time one of those lenders does a hard pull on your account. However, if you do those loan searches within the same week, it may only affect your credit score by 1 point. 2 at the max, but it won't be 5 to 7. That 5 to 7 can make a difference from bringing you to, if like say with Rocket Mortgage needed 580 and you was at 581, you have him pull your credit, it brings you to that 580. But if you have several different companies pulling it out every 2 weeks or every week or once every 90 days, then that's going to drop your score under that 580. So if you have them do it all at the same time in that first week, it won't affect it but maybe about 1 or 2 points at the most. And even at the 579, they'll still work with you. because they know it's going to jump back up. They know that the fact that it went down is because they pulled your credit. So, but the reason why I'm telling you to look for multiple lenders is because having different lenders offer you credit interest rates can make you a more competitive buyer. So, like I said, I had so many different companies. They would offer me like 6.0, I'm just gonna say credit interest rate, and then the other company offered me 5.9 interest rate. Another company offered me 5.7 interest rate, and those little points, those motherfuckers add up when you're looking at a 30-year loan that you're taking out. Those little points add up financially, substantially. Damn it, I'm gonna be late. How late am I going to be, though? I thought this would have been quicker. What time did I come out of my house? How long have I been going? 21 minutes. Oh, I just left a little late, I guess. Because I've only been going 21 minutes. Okay. And they're the popos. Why the popos? I always start fucking with people. Was it an accident? On this dude like that, and of course he had to be black, and Black History Month. Leave people alone. Black History Month. Okay, so it helps you become a better buyer by having competitive interest rates. And you would think, okay, well, fine, the 5.7 is the lowest one. Let's go with that. But then you have to look at their fees. What I learned during my process is that a lot of these companies don't want to tell you what their fees are up front. They be like, oh, we'll give you that in the final back end. No, they're supposed to tell you what the fuck they're going to charge you up front. What is your loan origination fee going to be if I have a loan in this dollar amount? That was one of the things that I liked about Veterans United. I would call them up and I'd be like, look, I found a house for $200,000. What is my loan origination fees going to be, or my estimated closing costs going to be? I found a house for $400,000. What is my closing cost going to be? My loan origination fees going to be? Each company has varied loan origination fees and closing costs that they have to charge you and things of that nature. And in most cases, y'all, they are giving you the highest amount of fees. They're estimating you at the highest total. So you can use those interest rates and you can use those fees that they're going to assess you to determine whether or not that 5.7 loan or that 6.1 loan is going to be the best one. In my case, the higher interest rate, which was Veterans United for me, turned out to be the better loan. They initially told me I was going to have $18,000 to pay in closing costs. Y'all, I paid $1,200 in closing. $1,200 is what I paid to move into my house. Correction, I had to put 1% down of the value of the loan in order for me as earnest payment. Earnest payments, I believe, are required in most states. It acts as a partial down payment. So even if, like, I'm a veteran saying I'm coming in with 0% down, I didn't have to pay 20% of my loan in order to buy a house. I had to put 0% down. I still had to pay that 1% earnest money of the value of the loan. Put that down, and out of pocket, that's all I came up with was another $1,200 in closing. That was it. That was it, y'all. And luckily, I found a realtor that was the final realtor that actually listened to me in my insistence that the buyer needs to help me pay some of these closing costs. I even got a refund check. Just the other day, I got a $100 refund check. So really, I only paid $1,100. And they sent me refund checks that I overpaid at closing. So yeah, use all those tools, like the interest rate from different companies, the fees that they're going to charge to help you determine which one is going to be the best one for you. Now, another thing that played into for me was customer service. I hate to feel like I'm a fucking number to people. I hate to feel like I'm the general public for a company or a business. I want to feel like my experience is personalized. Okay, so what the fuck was I finna say? So I was dealing with the main bank that I bank with, right? Compared to Veterans United. They gave the best interest rate. They gave the best fees, compared to Veterans United. But what they did not give me is customer service. I barely had any contact. Not barely. After I applied for the loan, they charged me for my credit report up front. No other company I dealt with charged me for a credit report. And any credit report I was going to be charged for was going to be charged for at closing. Other than that, they didn't charge me. My bank charged me for a credit report up front, and then insisted that I never paid them. I was like, y'all automatically withdrew that from my account the day that I had the conversation with you. Anywho, so that was my first issue. Like, y'all trying to make me pay for something that y'all told me I had already paid because y'all pulled it out of my damn account. Then I got a phone call after I got approved. I got approved like immediately. I got a phone call saying, I'm going to be your loan officer. I just want to introduce myself. I'll give you a call back in a few days in order to discuss your loan in detail, right? Now, this was an actual phone call. This wasn't a text message or an email. This man actually spoke to me on the phone. I never heard from that motherfucker again. Then I started getting emails from another person, and I would try to contact them back, and they didn't respond. It'll be a week later. I get another contact from them saying, we're going to call you on such and such day. They didn't call, and I would call them. Then I would get a response back saying we were on holiday. I had no communication at all with my main bank. And one of the guys at my job was telling me the same thing. He said it was a horrible experience. They had to keep delaying closing several times because of the lack of communication that the bank went through. I did not have that experience with Veterans United. I'm telling y'all, I was about to give up on buying my house. I said December 15th was going to be it because I had to move out of my apartment by January 14th, right? And I was like, I got to find some place to live. So December 15th is my cutoff. If I don't have a house, I can't keep looking. December 13th. December 12th, I went to go see this house. December 12th that night, they told me they accepted my offer. December 13th, they accepted my offer the next morning. I went, got my inspections done December 15th, 2 days later. My appraisal was done December 19th, 2 days later. By that following Monday, y'all, I was ready to close in 7 days' time. I was ready to close. In Florida, they say the average person closes within 30 to 35 days. My lender had put out, my realtor had put down, we wanted to close in 30 days because he knew I had to move. So we already trying to push it. Veterans United worked their ass off to push that loan through while I'm still getting the runaround just from a phone conversation from the bank that I was banking with. And I used that bank, though, to help negotiate my interest rate with Veterans United. I pretended that I was still that they still was an option for me, even though I was moving forward with them. The one big issue that I think I had, because I'm about to pull up at work soon, so I'm going to wrap this video up, and I think I'll try to pick it up. If y'all had any questions for me, something else that y'all think I want to talk about the loan process, put them in the comment section. I'll try to answer them for you, or I'll try to do a second video for you as well. But one of the biggest issues that I have with Veterans United, I left them a glowing review because, they worked so hard. They stayed in contact with me. I had a concierge doing this, concierge doing that. They promised to do a refi for me within 7 months and things like that. I did open up another credit account after this, but I ain't worried about it because that account is already paid off. What I bought is already paid off, and I'm not going to use it no more. It's an IKEA furniture. I got to tell you that IKEA story soon. But I should try to get this out before this light change. After I got closed on the home, 2 weeks later, I got an email telling me that Veterans United is no longer my service provider. They're no longer servicing my loan. And I was taken aback because the company who contacted me, they didn't even mention Veterans United. They just told me that they was my new service. I'm like, who the fuck are y'all? Okay. And that's kind of the situation I was in my old house when I ended up foreclosing, because my loan kept getting sold off to different damn people, and I didn't know my fucking loan was getting sold off, and I'm like, who the fuck y'all? I'm sending money and shit going into accounts that, yeah, okay. So I was pretty perturbed by the fact that Veterans United sold off my loan, because I did so much fucking research and went through so much headache to find a lender that I liked, that I would jail with, and they sold my loan off. The reason why they sold my loan off, y'all, though, I'm a bad credit risk. Remember, I started with a 511 credit score. By the time I got done, I was at 680. All the shit that I said I did, I brought down my interest, my credit, revolving credit accounts, and, you know, got those the collection removed, which my student loan was my collection. All that stuff. Hold on. All right, at least I ain't the only one pulling up to work late. So I was kind of disturbed by the fact that they sold my loan off, and I knew they was trying to tell me that it wasn't because of that I was a credit risk. They said, well, you know, as a business, we just bundle a bunch of loans together and we sell them off, and that way we can have more money to make more loans. That's the excuse they was trying to give me. But both times I had two different people explain it to me, and both times they started off, it's not that you're a bad loan, which basically tells me I'm a bad loan. And I took risk management in college. I told you I was a finance major. So I know that I'm a bad loan. So they take a bundle of loans that they don't think is going to be, that's going to do good. They don't think that I have a pattern of paying my debts on time. Is one, I started off with a foreclosure, right? I had a collection on my account. I refused to pay certain shit on there that I said wasn't mine, you know. So I'm considered a credit risk. So they take these high risk loans, they bundle them up, and they sell them off to another company, but they don't tell you that they do it. That's the problem. And I'm almost kind of glad that they did it before my first payment went through. So now that I know, but like I said, I don't even know this fucking company. I don't know how their customer service go. I ain't never heard of them before. So now I got to research this company that I'm dealing with to find out if I'm going to stay with them and then try to refinance with them in a year, or I'm be looking for a new lender all over again in 1 year. Now, the crazy thing is when I talked to Veterans United, they was like, oh yeah, we'll try to refinance you in a year just for selling me off again. That's pretty much what they're going to do. So I'm at work. Let me get in this office because I'm late. And I already got written up the other day. Y'all, I got written up for not coming to work on days that I told them I wasn't going to be here. I mean, just because you deny me for taking off does not mean that my life changes. No. So, damn, it's a lot of us coming in late. Okay, so I will talk to y'all again in another video. Again, if y'all have any questions, let me know. And I'll do my best to help answer them for you. Try to help y'all with y'all experience. Or just to, shit, y'all be nosy just to know about mine. All right, peace.